Hi everyone. Welcome back. Yeah, hope you are excited for today's sessions. So, thank you for taking time off to join us in our second sessions of Creatives at Work lunchtime session. And I'm Jace from Creatives at Work.
Yes, so for those of you who don't know us, we are a media agency that provides matchmaking and project management services to our clients by providing access to a curated pool of talented freelancers. We have been in the freelancing space since about 2012 and had since embarked on many training programs as well as original initiatives such as podcasts, original content creation in the recent years, as well as live sessions such as today.
Right. So we started our inaugural sessions with the objective to invite our community to come together and learn from one another. So this sessions really is a short sessions, right, where we hope to bring out interesting topics that all creative freelancers will face in their career, but may not be frequently talked about.
That's right. So the format of today's session is very simple. We invite 10 guests to all join us to share with us just for 5 minutes each on their views regarding a simple and the same topic. Okay, so for this session, today is the second session of this series. Jace will be chatting to all of us, all of our 10 guests, about how to overcome a lull period. And we have specially chosen these 10 guests to represent different sectors of the creative industry so that we have just a wider perspective across different verticals and the segments of the industry. So do stay tuned to listen to all 10 of us. Without further ado, Jace, would you like to introduce our first guest?
Of course. Let's invite Olivia up.
Hi.
Hi, Olivia. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me here.
Not at all. Thank you for the time. So, for those of you who have not known Olivia yet, so Olivia is actually a freelance photographer as well as a producer, currently in Singapore, but you also based in Germany for a while, right? So with LaSalle College, you graduated from LaSalle College, right? And you are doing a lot more arts fusions type of innovation project. Am I right?
Yeah, I often find myself at intersection of art, design, culture, and tech with the projects that I have my fingers in, which is super interesting because I really believe in um, the processes of multidisciplinary type collaborations and partnerships because it absolutely helps every individual to break out of what they already know and then expand into other fields and forms and different ways of doing things essentially.
Yeah, of course. I think especially for freelancers or creative freelancers, I think collaboration, partnership, always strive, to be at the forefront of innovations is actually important as well, right? So, okay, so for today's topic, right? Please share with us how do you actually in your last few years, right, of your freelance career, have you actually met with any lull period? And if you have, how do you actually overcome it?
Hmm. Well, I mean, not even in the last few years. I think last year was already a pretty significant year. I think wherein I guess a lot of us would have experienced precisely feeling like you're kind of stuck, and you have a routine of some kind that you're following, which is maybe not bad, but I think once in a while it's always important to break out of that. But essentially, I guess we're creatures of habit, right? Because we like our things of comfort, we like familiarity, and therefore it's always tricky, I suppose, to do something different. But I mean, with this topic, the first step to doing, like to breaking out of a lull period, is already asking the question. So that's a really good first step. And I think the second step is really to, be able to identify the patterns that you're already used to, like either in your daily routine where it concerns, I don't know, self-care or even your work processes. So you identify patterns and then just recognize that this is what you have been spending a lot of time on, and the way the format has always been quite consistent.
Mm.
So these days I've been thinking a lot about how the terms, like, to in order to be inspired and also in order to be creative, a lot of times I think it has got a lot to do with some kind of irrational thought, because
Mm,
you sort of need to be a little bit irrational in order to be able to, see out of the box or imagine something of the other, for example, and not just recognizing what's right in front of your eyes. So I think in some ways, as we are, because we're creative people, so it's always beneficial to have a little bit of an irrational behavior. I feel, because a lot of times, as especially if we're running with self-employed individuals,
mm.
we need a lot of rational thinking and in the way that things need to be done. So in that sense, I feel like if you're in a lull period, like if you feel like you're stuck somehow, if you have an idea that somehow seems unreasonable or irrational, go do it. I mean, it can be very something very simple, like okay, you're gonna wake up at, I don't know, 4:30 a.m. to get ready for a sunrise hike, for example. You want to
Mm,
catch a sunrise somewhere in Singapore. If
mm.
that's absolutely something that you would never have done in the past or in recent times, then do it, because you don't know what's gonna come out of that experience, precisely because you have not done it before, and who knows, you could be inspired to do something differently from then on. Uh, yeah, so if I guess essentially, if it doesn't seem to make sense, it's probably worth a try, and hopefully you find inspiration and a bit of creativity out of that, and it helps you to break out of the mold a little bit.
So
Yeah.
in that sense, it sounds like a lull period is actually a good time for any creative freelancers.
I think so, because it probably because you're not occupied by the things you think you have to do anymore that much, because you're so comfortable getting into the processes, you're familiar with them, right? So in that sense, then I guess your mental headspace is sort of freed up in that way, and then that allows room to maybe think about what else could be done differently, or what other things could be done anyway. Yeah.
Mm,
So
great.
it's not necessarily a bad thing to be in a lull period, because it precisely allows this conscious thought to develop a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess don't have to be too worried if it's a lull period, because I know some freelancers are feeling like, oh, you know what happened? How come it's lull period for me? But I think what COVID has actually shared with us is you should make use of such time, right? And like what you mentioned, right? Try out new things and things like that, right? Thank you so much, Olivia, for sharing. Right? It's short. 5 minutes, just gone like that the time. But I'll catch up with you again. Thank you for your time. See you. Bye. Okay, great. Let's see who is coming out next.
Hey,
Hey, hi, okay, Jay. You have such a
hi.
nice background.
Yeah. This is not a virtual background. It's actually we're in the middle of a shoot actually. So my crew is
Right.
actually right there, somewhere up there right now. So
Oh,
once we get this done, we're heading back to production. So
right,
luckily we have 5 minutes, but only 5 minutes. Yeah.
okay, let's get down to it then. So for those of you who doesn't know OKJ, so OKJ is a documentary storyteller in that sense, right? Currently based out of
Yeah.
Singapore, but he has actually done works, from ASEAN to Norway to different countries, right? So I'll let you share with us, OKJ, have you met with any lull period, during your last few years as a freelance documentary filmmakers?
Yeah, definitely. I think I can jump off from where Olivia kind of mentioned, whereby last year I think everyone has experienced a unique extended lull period. But traditionally, let's say in 2021, and in the years prior to COVID, March would usually be my lull period. So I've actually just gotten out my lull period, and that's why you see that I'm busy. I thought I would share perhaps three key points in terms of lull period, because I'm for one look forward to lull period. So I agree a lot with what Olivia has said. Because I think lull period for one gives you the space and time to do what you always wanted to do when you're busy. I'm pretty sure everyone who is listening, or any other freelancers, when we are busy trying to do commission works or independent works, we always yearn to do something that we hope that we had paid more attention to but couldn't have the time. This could be professional related, or it could even be just personal related about health, on fitness, on family time or whatever. So I think the lull period is really healthy to execute on those, and I think those should be seen as an opportunity. The second one is I feel like it is a great way to go back to the basics and go back to the foundationals. Once again, this has to do a lot with the busyness because when push comes to shove, sometimes creatives, we do not have control of our own schedules. We want to put food on the table or we want to get that opportunity we have always been craving for. So we sacrifice quite a bit. So during the lull period, if we ever get one, I think going back to doing things like, let's say, your paperwork for your company isn't in order, or there are certain networking sessions that you want to go to, but you just couldn't have the time to, but you know that it's critical for you in terms of your long-term longevity for your business as a viable career, then I think the lull period is an excellent way to do that. So you have the building your foundational, but at the same time also working on things that has been nagging on you every time you've been busy but didn't have the time to. Well, with lull period, you have the time. The third one I thought is I would share is something that I've never experienced, but I've seen time and time again with a lot of my friends and a lot of my peers, and that is to find someone, a partner to be accountable with. I've seen so many people be successful because they work in pairs. I have seen less working in groups of three or larger because perhaps a lot of different kind of agendas come in. But in terms of pairs, that becomes excellent because it's like a gym buddy of sorts or walking buddy if you're going on your fitness journey. Be accountable to that person. Sometimes that person can accompany you on your new adventures during that lull period, and to keep each other company during the lull period, because while I'm saying this in a very cheerful way, I can understand from time to time that a lull period may be very taxing for one's heart and mind because that it breeds uncertainty. That may be the month where you earn the least, or that may be the month that because you're not that busy, uncertainty and doubt starts to creep in. You have imposter syndrome or whatever. I get it. I experienced that too. But I think the points that I've mentioned before is what has helped me through that period to become even stronger in the time after.
So what is that one thing you, because you mentioned last year was kind of a lull period, I mean for a lot of people as well. So what is that one thing that you have done yourself during that lull period?
So one thing I've actually done is that I've dabbled into script writing. I've actually written and completed an animated script. Now that script hasn't been published into the actual work because that has yet to find funding and all that. But the act of learning how to write a script has actually helped me on my documentary projects as well. I'm actually working on this like independent project right here using some of the techniques that I've learned while making that script. So I think that has helped me in ways that I didn't even imagine in 2020.
Right. Thank you so much. Okay, Jay. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you
Right.
very much,
So
Jace.
yeah, have a great shoot today. We'll catch up again.
Okay, see you.
See you. Right, great. So now let's see which our next guest. Hi, hello.
Hello.
Hey, hi, Yushin. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I hope everything's well on your side as well.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Thank you so
yeah.
much for your time.
No
So,
worries.
yeah. So for those who are not who hasn't have the opportunity to meet with Inshan yet. So Inshan is a freelance editor. So he has been freelancing for the last decade. So he particularly loves films and documentaries type of edit. But of course, he is also trying to venture out to learn more about what it takes to edit a good film. Right. So Inshan, can you share with us for the next 5 minutes? You know, have you actually met with any lull period in your decades longs of freelancing? And
Yeah.
if you have, yeah, how do you overcome it?
Okay, cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure every freelancers will have this kind of feeling up and down at times. But usually what I like to do when I have those, I can somehow your gut feeling, you will know when that lull period is coming and you're kind of like embrace it. You know that, okay, this month I think I really don't have it. So I think that's where I will prep up all my feelings for it, and slowly once I know that it hits you, I'll just calm down, reorganize. The very first thing I will always like to do is reorganize my workspace, because my hard disk, my files, everything is everywhere and I hate it. I need to organize everything and make sure that everything is in order for the next grind, for the next project that is coming in. So I think by reorganizing your stuff, you can get to see what's right and what's wrong, what's good to keep and what's good to dispose and all those. And I think on top of that, it's best on when you're on your lull period, you talk to people, just get to know people, send an email, ask and see, do you guys want to collab? This is the things that I do. Perhaps in the future we could, get in touch and stuff like that. I think that's very, very good in terms of networking. I guess one of the most important thing I always tell myself is always be blessed to have a lull period instead of thinking like, oh no, it's a lull period, oh my god, there's nothing, so quiet. Instead, I think you have to take it another way around. Take it as a positive way that, you know what, this is the real time for you to rest. This is the real time for you to like catch a break, sleep, relax your mind, not only reorganize your workspace but also your mind. I think that's very important because I think self-care and healthcare is really important. Yeah, and I think finally the last thing I would always like to tell people is just do what you think that you always wanted to do, be it your hobby, be it writing script, be it go out and shoot stuff. Just do what you like, because at least for me, I like to watch back things, reference videos that I always have like a whole tabs of it, but I have no time to watch. That's how busy you are at times. Watch that reference video, absorb it, jot it down, any ideas that you can use for your next edit. Yeah, besides that, I think watching films and playing games helps, because I am a person who play a lot of games and music as well. So I think playing games calms your mind down, be it any type of game. But so once you calm your mind down, then you can slowly see, wow, okay, maybe these are some things that I could pull it out and put in my edit. While some of these transitions and work and story wise works very like, yeah, I think I can use it for my next edit and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mm.
So just now you mentioned a very important point, because I think especially, the mental wealth,
Yeah.
or the mental state of mind, right, is
Exactly.
particularly important for freelancers, especially
Mm.
during our period, right? Everybody will tend to be stressful, nervous, because you don't know what to expect, what is to
Yeah.
come. So
Yeah.
how do you actually, handle a situation like this, right? How do
Uh,
you prevent
you
yourself from?
Yeah, I mean, if I say this, I think a lot of speakers or viewers will like laugh at me, but I'm not sure if you guys know the very old game called Tetris.
Oh, yeah, I think
Yes,
so. I
that
think
block
so.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, the
You'll
block.
be
Then you
surprised.
switch. Yeah.
Yes, you'll be surprised. I've been playing that a lot to calm myself down. Yeah,
Really?
you'll be surprised because that kind of compose me and makes
Right.
me think more. Because when I play, my mind just zone out. I will think of a lot of stuff, be it work, life, career, friends, family, whatever. I think that really makes my mind work more. Then after maybe an hour or so, I'll just leave it, and then you'll be surprised. I get better at work, or at least get better at planning for future works. Yeah,
Okay. That
yeah,
is one good piece of advice. Let me try that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I don't really play that a lot. I remember during my early days, I play more
yes, yes,
the bar. I don't know what do you call that, but the bottle where it goes through the bar and you're supposed to
yeah,
shoot it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that plays a lot of work in terms of making me to relieve a little bit of stress and just calm down. Take things slow. Not everything. You're not. How do I say? Nothing is against you. You just have to
Mm,
take your own time. Don't compare with people.
mm.
Yeah,
Right,
that's right.
great. Thank you so much. Thanks
Thank
for the
you. Okay.
advice. Yeah,
Yep.
thanks, Ishan. I catch up with you again.
Okay. Sure. Bye.
See you. Bye. Right. So coming up next, we have Drew. Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
Oh wait, I should be on the portrait. Oh no,
No problem.
no. Okay, okay. You know what? This will be it then.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyway,
Yeah, outside. That's
yeah, I'm,
not a
I'm, I'm
virtual
outside, just
background,
outside the
right?
office. Huh? No, no, no.
That's
It's like
not
a
a
really
virtual
real
background.
background. Look, boxes. You wouldn't see that
Wow.
in a fake background.
Thank you
And
so much
wait,
for your
the
time.
game you're thinking
Yes.
of is Western Bar.
Oh yes, yeah, exactly. That was what I was trying to think about. Yeah, I haven't been playing that for so long. No wonder you're
It
a
goes
really
for
a
like
good
$200
developer.
on Carousel.
Oh, really? You mean as in the
Yeah, they
whole
very.
the whole Oh,
If you can
wow.
find that
That's
thing
so
now,
expensive.
it can go for
Right.
quite a bit on Carousel.
I should have kept that from my early days. Yeah, but anyway, let me just introduce you to our audience, right? So Drew is a career storyteller, right? And her his background, right, is in marketing, visual effects, journalism, and more recently as an independent game developer. So he has actually made very good use of his time to come up with a game that he made himself from scratch, right? So the name of the
Mm-hmm.
game is called Groom and Doom. So for those of you who are interested to try out, please go and look for it and then you can download it. And he also
Find
has
it
a
on
TV
Steam.
show. Yep. Sorry.
Okay, they can always download it from Steam.
Oh, okay, yeah, download it from Steam. And he also have a TV show called the Teenage Textbook the series, which is actually now
Mm-hmm.
showing on Channel 5. Wow.
9:30
Great.
Tuesday nights. That's night.
Right, great. So we can see how you make use of the lull period in that sense.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, okay, for me, lull periods usually means like, cause my the jobs that I've done, I've had to jump from more creative stuff like like the game and the TV show to like more number crunching stuff like marketing can sometimes not be the glamorous stuff you see on in Mad Men, but it's actually just a whole bunch of number crunching and writing reports and all that. So switching out of that creative lull and trying to get back into coming up with ideas again can sometimes be really difficult. I mean, definitely when I was trying to, tackle the game, for example, that's having come out of like spending 2 years of nonstop just like working on reports and and strategy for boring corporate stuff. So I was just kind of really daunted. I'm looking at it. Oh, I want to make this big game. How am I going to do this? And I thought back to like I used to read these books called the Dragonlance franchise, and there was these characters called Kender in it. My favorite one was one called Tasselhoff, and he had this really good story of how he asked like like why are Kender so small? Why can't we be bigger like humans or elves, and do big things? And I think his father tells him like actually all big things are all made up of little small things. So if you do all the small things, it builds up to some big thing. And I always take that kind of the philosophy when it comes to like trying to get back into the momentum. When I looked at the game, I was so afraid of jumping into it. I just look at it every day, and so what I ended up doing was breaking into like small manageable pieces, small little things, and then to get your momentum up that way. With the game, I set myself small goals. This is something I learned from my ex-boss at Carousel, Jody, and she would always ask us to start the day by listing 3 realistically manageable tasks that you're going to clear every day. So for me, it would be like, okay, during my commute, I'm going to watch 2 tutorial videos on how to code, or like, watch one extended video on how to, digital paint, because these are all skills I had to like sort of pick up to learn when I was doing this game. So then when I was, then instead of like jumping straight into the game, I decided to like, use one engine and just build a small little demo level, something very crude, using graphics that not mine, but just built-in part of the game engine stuff. Nothing customized, nothing original. Just sort of do it that way. Then step by step, you build your momentum up, and then you get the confidence. You get like into like the whole string of things, and you never feel that sort of daunted. That like you're staring at the into the abyss. You can just take a look at the micro and just do things one step at a time. And I think that really helps you, just get moving from standstill.
Mm, So, going back to what some of the speakers earlier have actually mentioned, right? That some freelancers tend to be quite worried and afraid of lull period because that means no income. That means uncertainty. So, for yourself, what do you think? How should the mental state be? When you are approaching a lull period, or is there any way that we can prevent ourselves from going into lull period in the first place?
That that's a question I can answer in preventing. But to get out of it, I think it's a state of readiness. You know, like let's say with my TV show, for example. I spent 6 years developing this thing. And just cold calling and cold calling and cold calling, and people say no, 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 no one's interested in rom-coms and teen sitcoms and all that kind of stuff. But but the thing is, you never know when something miraculous might happen. And like for me, it was literally one of my friends who I used to play Call of Duty with. He's just like, hey, I happen to know this guy. Let me make this introduction for you. and that led to like the TV series being made. You know, it's just a state of readiness. Like when lightning strikes, do you have a product or do you have your pitch ready? You know, do you have some ideas ready? You know, if someone, you know, this and just having a nice little, you know, virtual shelf of all these ideas, kind of like, you know, somewhat packaged and ready to go. So if like a client were to kind of ask, hey, you know, I want to do something like this, do you have any kind of ideas? You would be like, you would like go to your battle shelf and just gonna go, okay, you know what? There's something that I, you know, have sort of somewhat prepared. So you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to kind of go, let me think about it. You know, you can sort of, while you may not have the full idea, you have something to go.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Being prepared for any situation is probably the best prevention, I feel, for any kind of situation that will be happening in your freelance career. Right. Thank you so much, Drew. Thank you for your time. So
Thank you.
I catch you again. Bye. Great. So coming up next, we have April. Hi, April. How are you? April, I think you need to unmute. Yeah. So maybe let me introduce April for those of y'all who are not familiar with her yet. So April is a freelance producer come a production manager. So earlier on when I asked April, so how do I introduce you? So April comment was that, call me the bao ka liao, right? Because she has been in the industry for 22 years. She has actually done every I would say roles right along the production process, right, from your first AD to your EP to your casting manager, location manager, art departments, line productions, etc., etc. Wow. So and for all of your information, April has been freelancing for the last has been, or rather at least in the media industry for the last 22 years. Welcome, April.
Hi.
Hey, so do share with us in your last 22 years in the media industry doing what you do, right? Have you ever encountered any lull period, and how do you overcome the lull period?
I think lull periods for freelancers is very common because we have a lot of like peak periods, and then we have very quiet periods. Like for example, the most recent one was Chinese New Year, so 1.5 months no work. No work means no money, right? So I guess how do you overcome the lull? I think the worst lull was last year. I think everybody has mentioned that in terms of like how did we overcome the period, right? Of course, the government funds that they gave us last year did help, but having said that, I actually went to be a Grab food delivery person. I went to cycle. I got a fracture, like an elbow, like a hairline fracture and everything.
Oh dear.
From delivering food. So I think importantly, you overcome the lull by keeping yourself inspired, whether it's through music or it's through like a lot of my nature walks, as you can see on my Facebook. Yeah, and like just doing the things that actually make you happy and keep your creativity and positivity up. Yeah.
Mm. So I also know that in the last 1 year, I mean, yeah, it has been tough in general, especially for the production industry because there's no production being allowed and all this, right? So
Yeah.
do you? So you mentioned that you have actually signed up as a food delivery, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, is there anything else that you do to actually ensure that you don't lose touch with the industry for too long? And how long is that lull period for you?
Well, for last year, the lull period was March all the way until August. And then I was fully booked from August all the way until January. Then
Oh, wow.
February to March, there was not much action until like maybe mid-March or so 1.5 months. Yeah, and then like Chinese New Year lah. So usually Chinese New Year is very quiet and not as much work unless it's just before Chinese New Year where everybody's rushing to finish stuff. Yeah, so I guess what I do is because I love photography, I love film, I love reading, I love writing, you know. So, and also my daughter keeps me on my toes because because she's doing her O levels this year. So
Oh wow.
so like she has a lot of these like inspiring essays that she has to write, like you know, like things like who has inspired me the most in my life, and that's my mom, you know. And then you go like, oh, you know, she actually writes. She actually writes, and then she says, "Mommy, you know, you helped me to overcome my fear. Like, mommy, how did you like? What are your insights and things like that?" So when you have a child, a teenager who is like whiplash smart, who has these discussions with you and these deep conversations, you know, like she brings back a lot of things like issues from school, her friends, family problems, and then they cannot talk to their parents, and she comes home for advice. So you're constantly like in touch with emotion, like because it's an emotional journey, right? For a child, for a teenager, they are discovering themselves. So like in that process, you don't sort of like fall off the wagon when you're in a lull period, because you're constantly talking to people in the same industry, you know, you're constantly like discussing certain things with like I discuss a lot of things with my daughter, you know. So there's no real lull unless you allow it to overcome you, you know, because I believe that mental health is a choice, right? Because I grew up with it. So that's another story for another day, okay? But and it's too long for 5 minutes. So
Right.
yeah, so mental health is a choice. You know, whatever gets you down, there's always something, there's always a light at the end of that tunnel. So keeping that in focus will actually keep you really upbeat. And then, you know, like I've actually been right to the bottom, to my last dollar many, many times, still having a family to feed and all that as a freelancer. But hey, you know, the next job comes along, and then it revitalizes you. It gives you that adrenaline rush and brings you back to who you really are. So how do you do that, right? I mean, if you there's always a choice. If you choose to always see the bad side of it, then it will forever be bad. But if you constantly say, hey, you know, at the end of this very stressful time sensitive job, you have a beautiful product waiting for you. You have a beautiful film, a beautiful photo that's gonna go on air. Then you keep yourself focused on that, and when you do, wow, that's different, right? Because you plan to the last detail. You plan each and every step. As a producer, you're always providing solutions. You're always focusing on your team's morale, on what they are doing in life. So you don't lose it. I mean, it's part of you when it happens, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I can sense your passion as well, right from here against the computer screen. Yeah, thank you so much, April, for sharing. I think what you have actually added on, right, is really, I think, you know, allow period is also a good time to connect with your family members, which is actually at the end of the day the most important, right? I mean, family comes first, right? In a way, right? Thank you so much, April, for sharing. Right. So I will catch up. I hope to catch up with you.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank
I
you. Right. So coming up next, we have hi, Joe. We have Joe here with us. Right. Let me introduce Joe. Right. So for those of you who have who is seeing him for the first time. So Joe is a freelance art director, graphic designer, as well as illustrator. And he actually also made videos on YouTube. Although currently it's for hobby, but maybe along the way he may become a YouTuber. We never know. Right. So, Joe, the next 5 minutes for you. Do share with us, in your career journey as a freelancer, what does lull period look like for you and how do you overcome your lull period?
Okay, Jace. I would say I'm feeling a greater sense of procrastinating more lately. So I've allowed myself to put off some less pressing projects, but not necessarily the less important. So for example, like I put off reading, I put off my exercise plan, some of my own personal brand building projects. I will just kind of like push that to the back seat. So in that sense, I don't think I have been the most productive in recent times. And how do I actually get off of the law period? Okay, I don't personally think that there is a so-called easy way to kind of retrieve your bearings. You can't really like stay at home and then hope that you can sleep off a law period. But I believe that there are actually a lot of very enjoyable ways for a person to get off a law period. Like maybe you can get out of the house and then do some exercise, work out your mind, work out your physical self, trigger the endorphins. And you can't have too much of exercising. So it's always good to get your body going, even if it's just brisk walking or just breathing exercises, some kind of a stretching. I think these are very important. So you must exercise. I mean, this is how I feel like top of the priority. And then I also think that try to be around people. Arrange like meetups, coffees with your immediate customers, and then have short, focused little meetings, and then keep it sweet, and then keep it focused. And I think let your client know that you're doing okay. Show them that you're in good forms and you're ready for any kind of challenges that they're going to throw at you. So yeah, but most importantly, be very sincere when you meet up with them, and then let them have a good conversation with them. So and socially, I think it's also important that you have a good clique of very good friends with you. People that you're very close to, your significant others, your best friend. So arrange to meet up with these people, of course, on a smaller scale, and then have a short conversation and talk about your difficulties, or even if you're feeling good that day, then just have a good conversation. I think you never know how it will actually benefit you in the mind. And even if friends that you have not seen for very long, I think meet up with them, your old schoolmate, classmate, campmates, everyone. You never know what kind of opportunity you can actually open up meeting these people. And yeah, so I also believe that okay, I'm a OCD person, so I'm a strong believer in having some sort of a life tracker, like a digital help. So, for example, for your work goals, for your personal matters, give yourself a clear overview of where exactly are you standing at this moment. Then you know where you got to work on and where you are lacking in that sense. So I believe in, I have got three simple methods that I uses every day. So jot down your long-term and short-term goals, set some kind of a personal habits routine, and then keep track of all your big and small achievements. So I uses like a Mac note to actually do all these notes and then write down what are my daily tasks, and then I'll just track it off when it's time to it's complete, and then whatever is not complete, then moving on to the next day. So this is what I do on a daily basis. So it becomes like a short, quick check off list. And then I use that tablet for all my work documentation. So I find that it's very efficient, and I could get my things organized very easily. And I also keep a personal journal where it documents all my so-called milestones, my work milestones. So these are things that I do to kind of remind myself and get some sort of a bearing that I can get my focus on, and then get myself very gear up for, or if I think I need a time to rest, then at least I know, okay, now it's time for yourself to take a break. So yeah, this is what I've been doing, and it works for me.
Right, right. No, thank you, Joe. I think that is a very good advice, because I think oftentimes, as freelancers, in our day, we are chasing after projects, doing so many things that sometimes we actually lost track of the long-term goal, right? I think, especially, during a long period is actually a good time for us to really think about what exactly why are we keeping ourselves busy, right? Why are we doing what we are doing? I think a long-term goal setting, right, is important. And also not forgetting the small little achievement that actually helps you along the way in terms of reaching your long-term goal, right? I think those are really helpful. John, making a note, putting down all your achievement really is quite a confident boosting, I must say.
I kind of encourage yourself to do better.
Right, right. Okay, thank you, Joe. Thanks for sharing
Okay.
the practical tips. Yeah, I catch up with you again.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Right, so coming up next, let's see. Oh, hi, we have Jolene here with us.
Hello,
Hi,
hi.
hi, Jolene. Thanks for joining us. So Jolene is also a freelance, also a creative designer with multidisciplinary skill sets. Then Jolene has actually been forging business ideas, brand experience, communications with impactful visual for clients across various industries. How are you today, Jolene?
Feeling great.
Great. So yeah, so do share with us, what does lull period look like for you, right? And
Mm.
how do you actually overcome those lull period?
So personally, for myself, I did experience a lull period last year, probably around July to September, before I got a contract job in September. So during that period, I actually practiced something which is because I'm a designer. I mean, I do design and I draw a lot. So what challenge that I gave myself during that lull period was to create an artwork a day and to conceptualize and execute the artwork within the day itself and have no expectation of the outcome. Like if it sucks, then I'll just still post it out. Like if it's good, then so be it. So I think that's I actually got this idea from another creative that I watched a video online. So yeah, I think having that kind of little challenges that you give yourself or so-called like passion projects that you can encourage yourself to do can be quite helpful during like lull periods. So you might think that I'm not getting anything done today, it's such an unproductive day. And I think as freelancers we are very used to thinking of like if I'm not doing work, it means that I'm not being productive, or I'm not like challenging myself or pushing myself forward. So I think like small personal projects like these can go a long way. And although I didn't really do it every day, but I tried to. So I came up with a couple of pretty good ones in between days, and I actually assembled them in my portfolio, and it got me a job afterwards. So I thought that's something that can be quite encouraging if you to encourage yourself as well. Yeah.
Do you manage to do instant stories while you're drawing?
Not really. Yeah, because I felt that I didn't want to give myself the expectation, and I just really wanted to. It's for myself, and it's not really to kind of get the likes or get the shares and all that. Yeah, but one very interesting occurrence was that I actually referenced this artwork from a very well-known I think artist called Beeple, and I actually tagged him in one of my artworks, and he actually reposted my Insta story. Yeah,
Wow.
so that was pretty cool. Yeah, and I got a couple of like like DMs in my Insta story, so that was pretty nice. Yeah,
Yeah, I must
yeah,
say it must be very rewarding, to get
yeah,
recognition from your peers, right? Who actually kind
yeah.
of
Of
recognizes the hard
course.
work and things like that.
Yeah. And I think it also helps a lot when you are in the lull period and then you have all these like negative thoughts like the imposter syndrome just creeping up on you, and then like, oh my god, what am I doing? Like am I doing something wrong and all that? And I think just keeping up the momentum to create things can help you kind of I think boost your morale a bit as well. So it doesn't matter whether you cannot be good at this point, but maybe by the end of the week you might be slightly better. So yeah. So I'm a firm believer in always being like keeping up that consistent pace in whatever you're doing. And you might envy the person that is very famous or very well known, very good at his craft, but if you keep up the momentum, you might get there too someday. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly, absolutely. I think I guess especially for designers, right? Working on your passion projects often bring you a lot of satisfactions compared to working on commission job, right?
Yeah, of course, of course. Actually, sometimes I do look forward to lull periods because then it's like, yes, I finally have the time to do a passion project that's on my list. I have this little notebook with jot down like the little things that I would love to do for myself. Yeah, and often those are the ones that you can really inject 100% creativity, and those might get you jobs in the future. So it's a win-win thing, I feel. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So just now, I think Drew was also mentioning about the mental states, right? And I think you also mentioned a bit about the mental state, right? So in that sense, when you are actually faced during that 6 months, right? Without long period,
Mm,
are you kind of while you're working on your own job, right? But do you
mm,
also are you nervous, right? About
mm,
there's no money for 6 months coming in. What are you going to
mm.
do? That kind of thing. Are you worried or nervous about issues like this, especially on the monetary side?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, I do have savings, and I think as freelancer, we all do need a bit of runway. And on the monetary side, I think you got to be flexible as well. If you know that this is a low period, then you have to kind of adjust your spending a little bit. And I don't personally, I am quite confident with myself, I guess, as a creative professional, that as long as I produce good work, I am not afraid that I won't be able to get a job. So I think, and that also brings back to keeping up the momentum in creating stuff, and just not don't let yourself be too demoralized, and just finding things that you enjoy doing, and don't beat yourself down like during that period, and just tell yourself it's okay, like things will get better, and it's a normal phase in everyone's, I mean, in the creative's career. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Mm,
that's a very good point. I think I think for one thing, as you mentioned, right, if you are expecting your creative career, and we all have been hearing from so many speakers that lull period seems like a definite thing, right, that will happen to
mm,
freelancers. So the best way to actually ensure that you can get through the lull period, right, is to actually also ensure that you build out your resources, right, build out your reserve, so that during your
mm,
lull period you can really make full use of it, rather than to worry about, when's my next paycheck coming in and all this. So we
mm,
always have this like rule of principle, right? Like, at least try to save out to at least, have 6 months, right, of your
mm.
savings, right, of your monthly expenses, right, at least build out to that level, so that you can actually get through the lull period more productively in that sense.
Yeah, of course. I mean, just take it to your advantage. I feel like it's not a bad thing. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Jolene. Thanks for
Sure.
sharing.
Thank
Yeah, you
you.
take
Thanks for
care.
having me. You too.
Yep. See you. Bye. Right. So coming out next, we have Dracco. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Oh, good, good.
Great.
Working.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks
Right.
for having me here.
Not at all, not at all. Let me introduce Dracco. So Dracco is actually a musician, right? Also a full-time game developer, just like Drew, and a Go player. I mean, I'm just wondering, what does a Go player do?
Oh, as in it's a board game lah. I just play a lot lah. Like last time. So like I play in competitions also. And
Oh wow.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Great. So thanks for joining us. So can you share with us, in your, career, as a musician, and also a game developer, right? Have you encountered lull period before, and how do you actually overcome those lull period?
Okay, so I interpreted lull period as like, when you want to be productive, but then you end up like you just can't get
Yeah.
anything done. Then you start to feel like more and more despair and like because like you already messed up, then like how then like it just spirals, right? Yeah, so
Yeah.
I reflected about this because like I felt that I'm motivated, yeah, I couldn't get things done last time. So I reflected and realized that there are actually two types of goals. So I termed them like your dream goals and your action goals. So last time when I was younger, I used to have a lot of dream goals. Like, I want to be the top musician. I want to get into basketball team. I want to score all A's on my exam, that kind of thing. So like, for example, those are like dream goals. Or like you want to be a very good artist. So I decided that those are very big dreams, which can be motivational, but at the same time, it's too big that you end up like not doing anything at all because it's so daunting. So I came up with action goals instead. So like instead of saying I want to get all A's on the exam, the goal should be like I'll study 2 chapters a day, or like instead of I want to be the top musician, the top music producer, I change it to I'll watch 40 minutes of like music production tutorials every day. Or like instead of saying you want to get into basketball team, then like maybe every day I'll shoot 100 hoops, that kind of thing. So it's like when you break it into more realistic and smaller goals, right, then it's easier to get it done. So specifically, I like to use 30-minute blocks. So there's a technique called Pomodoro technique. If you just search Pomodoro timer, right, then you'll find this specialized timer. So you do like 25 minutes of work or like whatever you want to achieve, then you get a 5-minute break. Yeah, so I think it's much better when we break the bigger tasks into like action tasks rather than the big dream goal. So
Right, that sounds like very practical tips. In one of our podcast series, one of our co-founder Fanny, she mentioned her block is 45 minutes to work on something, right? Before she need to go and attend to her kids, and then she come back work on another 45 minutes block. Right. So Dracco, in for yourself, because you are a musician, right? So and you are a game developer as well. So it seems like a left and a right brain kind of thing. So do you have a preferred which one is your first love in that sense?
I'm not sure because like I don't really rank it or what. In fact, I see it more as like everything's like connected. Even in games also you have to make music, is all related. And I also do art and writing. Like in my job, I actually started out as the game script writer, but now I also do the art and even marketing. So to me, like everything is kind of related. Even in my music, I also like incorporate some of my art stuff into it, like making music videos, stuff like that.
So just now you mentioned you kind of interpret Lull as you want to try to attempt to do something but you didn't reach there. So in terms of like say for example in music, right? So what kind of ambitions do you have for yourself, right? In the music side of things.
Or like when you want to get you want to complete your songs, like maybe writing songs or recording videos, things like that. Yeah, so those are stuff that I hope to get done. But sometimes you feel like tired or then
Do you always have this issue? Do you always met with a lull, when you're in the midst of the project?
Not say always, but I think in life it just generally happens to everyone. Like I mean, all of us when we are working, then sometimes halfway through you just don't feel like working, but then you cannot stop, right? Yeah. I think like the most important thing is like to always tell yourself that you can have a fresh start, because sometimes after like you messed up for too long or like you didn't do anything for too long, then you start to feel like then I might as well not try anymore. But I think it's important to tell yourself that you can always start again. Like the past doesn't affect now, so like it's better to get a bit done than nothing at all.
So the earlier speaker also shared about the mental state, right? So I think you also mentioned, it's better to get something done than nothing done at all, right? And to what other I would say emotions are you also experiencing when you cannot, meet the goal that you have set for yourself, other than being being negative? Do you also feel nervous and things like that?
Yeah, kind of. Then like you start to get a bit negative. Like there was this time when I sort of got insomnia, so like it ended up only sleeping 2 hours a day. Then I can hardly get anything done. Yeah, so it gets worse and worse. So it's a vicious cycle. So like you really have to stop for a while and reflect. Then tell yourself that like everything that has happened is okay, and it's okay to start again.
So how long does that drag on for you? How do you manage to pick yourself up again?
Oh, I fainted one day. Then after that, even after I fainted, I couldn't fall asleep even after that. So like I really told myself that like if you want things to get better, like I can only count on myself. Cause I mean doctor also can't really help you or anything. Yeah. So I just really reflected, and then I told myself that it's okay lah. Whatever has happened, just start over again. Yeah. So slowly. Yeah, and also partly it's like I got selected for a goal competition like shortly after, so I use that to really motivate myself. Like I try to like use every moment wisely to train for a competition. Like I really tell myself this is a very rare chance for me to perform. Yeah.
Right, great. Great. Thank you so much, Dracco. Thanks for sharing. I wish you
Thanks
all
for
the
having
best.
me here. Thank
Yeah.
you. You
Right.
too.
Yep. See you. Bye. Right. So coming up next, right? We have. Oh, hi, Karen. How are
Hi, good
you?
to see you
Hey.
again.
Yes. Good to see you. So, for our audience, right, Karen is actually now delving in. Well, not delving in, lah. Sorry, in today's day and age, you don't delve, but she's currently based out of Bangkok. Yeah. So Karen currently actually heads the marketing and communication departments at Dual Circle. So Dual Circle is actually a platform that provides solutions as well as tools to support independent workers. So Karen also drive marketing and publicities initiative for international authors and brands under Penguin previously, and now she has been freelancing for coming to 2 years already.
Yeah, just
Great.
about. Yeah,
Just about 2 years, right? And these
right.
2 years, you are working out of Bangkok.
No, I've only been here 1 year and 3 months. So I kind of intentionally tied it with COVID, so that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah, you managed to get out of the country before the
I
whole thing,
did. I
whole
did. I
travel.
got locked down in a
Yeah,
nice country. I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
great, right. So, maybe share with us over the last 2 years, right? As a freelancer, have you actually met with any lull period? And how do you actually overcome it?
In terms of work, I think I've been quite lucky in the sense that I never really had to search very hard for work. I think it just mostly came my way. And when I didn't want work, there was a lot of it. So I've been very, very fortunate in that sense. But then I think the way I interpreted this was also along the lines of like, you go through your cycles of procrastination.
Mm.
And I am queen of procrastination. But I was also, I've been digging into this, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with Adam Grant. So he's
Yep.
an organizational psychologist. Yeah,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
yeah, the way he speaks about his work is he looks for ways to make work not suck. And
Mm.
I very much agree with that. That we need to find that. Um, and he talked a little bit about procrastination too, which I thought was very interesting because he says that a lot of times when we're procrastinating, it's not really because we're lazy. Like we always see that. Even I'm like, oh my God, I feel so lazy today. I don't feel like doing anything. But the truth is, a lot of times when we procrastinate, it's because we are struggling with the emotional side of that job, like a particular task. Like either it makes us feel inadequate, or there's something about it that like we struggle with it negatively. So like you were saying, there are these people who are great procrastinators when it comes to work, right? But then you go into their house and their house is super clean, everything is very neat, everything is packed away. And you know why? It's because they're doing that instead of doing the work that, they're emotionally struggling with. So I like to, in some ways, it's like, okay, you need to just step back and then reframe what it is that you're doing and then attack it a little bit at a time. Like, kind of like when I have to go to the gym and I really don't feel like it, I tell myself, like, okay, I'm just going to go for 5 minutes, walk on the treadmill. And if at the end of the 5 minutes, I'm done, it's fine because I did 5 minutes. It's better than if I didn't do 5 minutes at all, right? But the truth is, by the time I get there and I do that 5 minutes, I'm like, I'm already here, I put on all these clothes, I tied my hair, I put on my shoes, I walk all the way to the gym. I might as well do another like 15 minutes. And you get into that momentum. And once you get going, it's so much easier to just continue. So it's this idea of like, okay, the first step is always the hardest, right? And then once you take that first step, you find that pace and then you just keep going. So I guess for me, that's the way I look at lull, my lull periods. It's where I just find it so hard to get something started. I know it's there. It's this task that's like sitting, on my shoulders, and I just am putting it off. I will do everything else, right? I will clean the house, I'll mop the floor, do my laundry, go and like buy food, go everything but the thing that I need to get done. Yeah. So that's my daily struggle.
So I think that is also very common to a lot of freelancers, right? So for example, you are so passionate. I mean, being creative freelancers especially, you're so passionate about creating stuff, right? But when it comes to running your business, like putting your invoices in order, reporting your taxes, doing out the accounts for your books, so those are some of the, I would say, like what you mentioned, a lot of the freelancers will actually be procrastinate about it and they just put it off until they have to do it, no choice.
Yeah, correct. Invoicing. Oh, so
Yeah.
horrible. I hate invoicing. I always get it wrong too. Like I will invoice once and then I'll follow up. Sorry, wrong invoice. Check this one instead. Oh, sorry. No, there was something wrong. So I'm terrible at it. Yeah, but that's when I get paid. So it's quite important.
Right. So just now you actually mentioned yourself as the queen of procrastinations, right? So in that sense, do you have you come up with any ways to actually prevent yourself from falling into procrastination for
I have
anything?
I have a very small hack, like a work hack. I may not, it doesn't, I don't guarantee it works 100% of the time, but what I do is at the end of one day, the end of the day, the work day, I leave a little bit of, whatever I was doing, like a simple bit of it for the next morning. So then when I come and I start work the next morning, I'm like, okay, there's this one small thing, right? That's really easy to complete. And then once I get that done, it's like, okay, well, I've already achieved something today. Let me it's much easier to be like, okay, I can keep going now. So I just leave that one small hanging bit, like a cliffhanger, right? So you continue the next episode. So I do that sometimes when I know like it's gonna be a tough day tomorrow.
That's a nice hack. Yeah, I think that's something that I also try out, and I think it is actually it works very well. So also for
Yeah.
me, right? So the day before, right, I will try to write down the list of the tasks that I need to get done the next day, so that when you start, you don't procrastinate in that sense. You get to it because you already said, okay, these are point 1 to 3. I must get it done by the morning, and then once you start doing, then you kind of just follow through your schedule for the rest of the day.
Yeah, exactly. You've already started. Why are you going to stop? Like break that flow. You-
Right. Thank you so much, Karen. Thanks for sharing. So,
Absolutely. Always a
yeah,
pleasure.
I hope to visit you in Bangkok soon, hopefully. All right, great. Thank you. See you. Bye. Great. So let's see who we have next. Hi, Audrey.
I will unmute. Okay, great. I sorted it out. Hello, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. Every day is well. Thank you so much for joining us, Audrey.
No,
Right.
thanks for
So
having me.
yeah, no, no, at all. It's our pleasure. So I'm sure a lot of our viewers or audiences probably already know Audrey, right? So for those of you who haven't met her yet, right? So she is our professional freelance MC. Right, and she's doing a lot more other things as well. And recently, she's very active in Clubhouse.
I love Clubhouse. It's my new time suck, which
Right.
really helps with a lot of the things that I'm hoping to speak to you about today.
Oh, wow. Great, great. Okay, so the next 5 minutes is yours. So do share with us, how do you overcome your lull period?
Well, one
Yeah.
of the big things that I used my lull period for, because I suppose COVID cut everyone the same way, right? The first thing that was really important, and I think your earlier speaker spoke about it as well, was the impact on your mental health. And one thing that really, really got me through that was understanding that you're not alone. And I know there's this irresistible desire when you're a self-employed person or when you're in the creative sphere that you kind of stay in your box, like you're in your little silo, you're in your little cubicle, and what you see and what you know, people try to make it seem like you're by yourself and that everyone else is out to get you. And if you share your rates, people will undercut you. If you share a contact, people will, try to makan you that way. And it's not true, dude. It's really, really not true. So the very first thing that really helped me was joining up with this online community, this Facebook support group, as it were, of other creatives and people in the cultural scene, and working on that project, working on that as a moderator, really gave me the chance to connect with the community around me, and understanding that my stupid questions, like what Karen just said, I hate invoicing, right? I'm not alone. It just felt so good to understand that I'm not defective, for not doing this basic adulting thing like invoicing correctly, and being able to be part of a community allowed me to ask like so-called stupid questions like, oh, how do I do this better? And that really made use of my lull period, because I suppose when times are good, everyone's rushing around, you feel really embarrassed, right? Almost like, can I ask you a dumb question? Like it feels like a very 101 type question, and you don't feel like it's a good time to ask because everyone is so much more busy. Well, guess what? They're not busy right now. You're not busy. They're not busy. Now is the time. So, like, the first point that I had was community and how important that was to connect with everyone around me. And that helped me both on a mental level and on a practicality level. The second thing was building doors for opportunities to knock on. So jumping on that first point about building your community, being an active part of your community, it really makes it a lot easier for you to ask for help, ask for people to like, oh, keep me in mind please the next time you have this project. Or if you think of someone and they're looking for an actor or a moderator, think of me. It's less paise to do that when you've actually got a relationship with them, and it's not like a cold call ding dong, like, hi, you don't know me. But even if that is a situation, you're trying to get out of your lull by reaching out to people who may not know that you exist, and they cannot give you the work if they don't know how to contact you. So what I did during my lull period was create opportunities. So create doors, right? So what I did was I updated my website, I updated my LinkedIn, I started uploading more regularly to social media. I started so one piece of new work a day, I would answer one casting call a day. I would create a cold call database. So on one day, I would just say, okay, who are all the studios that might want to work with me? And then I would create a list. And then every day after that, I would send one cold call email. The worst they can say to you is no. Literally, that's the worst they can do. So just get your documents in order, get your CV, get your reel, get all the things that you need together, and then just start ringing doorbells. The worst they can do is not answer. That's it. Like they won't say, oh my God, who's this weirdo calling me? No, they won't do that, right? So there's nothing to lose. Build doors for opportunities to knock on. The third thing is to just jam things out, right? So in times of plenty, it's really hard to take time to sit still and hone your skills. And I read this meme almost on Facebook last night, and it talked about a pottery class professor. So the pottery class professor went into class and said, okay, I'm going to divide this down the middle. The left side of the room, all of you will be judged based on quantity. And the right side of the room, you're going to be graded based on quality. So in order for the person to get an A, if you were seated on one side of the room, the professor would literally come with his bathroom scales, and if you had 50 kilograms of pots, you get an A, 40 kilograms, you get a B, and so on and so on. Versus the other side of the room, the quality side of the room, theoretically at the end of the term, all they needed to do was produce one perfect piece. So everyone had preconceived ideas about who would get the best work, right? It turned out that at the end of the term, the quality pieces, the pieces with the best, with the best pots, all came, strangely enough, from the quantity side of the room. And the reason for that was because they had so much time and incentive to just keep throwing things out. Just throw the pot, just try. Maybe this is ugly, it's okay, it's still graded. Just keep trying. They made all the mistakes and they learned from their mistakes. Versus the quality side of the room, who were just so focused on, oh my gosh, I must have the perfect pot. They ended up having a lot of time theorizing about how things worked, but no actual time practicing their craft. And so, ironically, they ended up with big theories, lots of dead clay, substandard work, versus the other side of the room who had made the mistakes. They just kept trying. So even if you're not sure if you can make good stuff, just keep making stuff. Keep making the stuff. Whatever you do, if you're a writer, keep writing. You will never get your perfect first draft. It does not exist. So just keep putting out stuff, and a lull period where you have actual time to breathe from your actual paid work is the best time to do this. So the third thing, just put stuff out, right? The fourth thing, and I realized that not a lot of people, your earlier speakers, like spoke about this as much, but what I do is that if you can predict the lull period, so I've been self-employed for many years, right? If you can predict the lull period, then don't get out of the lull. Lean into the lull. schedule a break during the lull. You know that you're not going to be wasting job opportunities, because when you're self-employed, work can come at any time, right? So people are talking about, oh, be prepared, always have your war shelf. Totally agree. But also understand that you're not a machine, you're not an automaton. As much as we all want to be woodcutters and just bashing through the woods and chopping down trees, you can be a better woodcutter if you take the time out to sharpen your axe. Then you can get back to cutting down the forest, or whatever more eco-friendly analogy we use these days. But you need to take time to hone your instrument, to hone yourself, to let yourself rest. Because if you just keep holding, if, for example, I just held this glass of water, right? I have this glass of water and I could speak to you holding this glass of water, which is not even totally full, right? If I could hold it, maybe no problem, 5 minutes. But if I keep holding it at my face level for an hour, my muscles are going to get tired. Now, the job hasn't gotten more difficult. It really hasn't. But you're not meant as a human person to keep doing one thing all the time for hours and hours, days after days. You will get tired, you will drop this glass, and all your electronics will get wet. No one wants that. So instead of doing that, what you could do is schedule time to take a break, take a breather, lean into the lull with the understanding that you're coming back and you've got a plan.
All very, very practical tips. I definitely, absolutely is with you, Audrey. Right. And actually, I think you brought out a very important point that some of the speakers hasn't had the chance to bring out is really community. Right. I think what COVID has actually shown us, right, is that coming together as a community will make a difference. Right. And in the past, I think, I also heard a lot of freelancers say, I'm a freelancer, so I work alone, I work at home. But this not necessarily have to be the case, right? We should learn more from one another, right? Okay, thank you so much, Audrey. I look forward to catching up with you again, and I see
All right.
you in Clubhouse.
See you in Clubhouse. I've got a room tomorrow, Wednesday, 10 p.m.
Okay.
till 1:30 a.m. I'll see you there.
Wow. Okay, see you then. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Great. So that's it. That's our lunchtime sessions with 10 speakers.
Wow, an hour just went by like that.
Yeah, imagine. So thank you so much for sharing, for staying with us in the last 1 hour. I hope you all had a great time, right? And also spark off new ideas from our speakers to overcome your lull period, right? Of course, thank you to our 10 speakers who joined us and their candid sharing, right? And, we are looking forward to more sessions like this.
Yes, so if you'd like to get in touch with us or even just follow us in order to know when the next lunchtime session is coming up, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn. We even have a podcast for full of resources for freelancers called the Freelance Creative Exchange. Just go on to any podcast platforms, okay, like Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts. Go and search for Freelance Creative Exchange, and do like us and subscribe us on our channels. If you're new to freelancing, do also check out our first ever published book called The Business of Freelancing, which is available at Kinokuniya if you like a hard copy. If not, there's also ebooks on Amazon. With this, I wish you guys all the best, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.